Hey, welcome and welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome and welcome back. Today is Thursday. You guys know what that means. We are here at Vegas Hype Media for a what? A uncomfortable conversation. Dun, dun, dun. I am taunting my guests right now. You guys don't get to see who that is just yet, but they're very excited to be here, and I'm very excited to have them here. But before we jump into all of that, I always want to start by thanking my previous guest, Mr. Mikey D. Hollywood Mike, my guy. Thank you. You are awesome. Really appreciate you doing that session with us. If you didn't have an opportunity to check it out, make sure you see that episode on UC Salam YouTube page. We discuss some real anxiety issues with him serving almost 30 years in prison and then coming out to where we're at today. So he went in back in the 90s. And as you guys all know, a lot has changed since then. So it was a really good session. Make sure you check it out. Like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't like it, still leave a comment. Let me know what you didn't like and what you'd like to see. That always helps. I can't do better if you don't let me know what you didn't like. All right, so moving right along, it is April, which means it's still Poetry Month. In the last 2 weeks, I had two different types of poets. One that kind of just grew into a poet by happenstance due to his circumstances. And the other one that is more of a journalist and loves words and, you know, loves the way that people receives the words that he puts together. So this week, we're going to do something different, right? I have not a poet for you guys, but a lover of poetry. Much like myself and probably a lot of you butterflies out there, we don't all write poetry, but somebody's got to listen to it and somebody has to read it. Somebody has to receive it. So I thought it would be a great perspective to just, you know, go on the flip side of what poetry is and, you know, talk about some of those things that we like about poetry, why we read it, why is it impactful in our lives, and, you know, what kind of self-discovery journeys we find through poetry where we can emerge, right? Because that's what this is all about, emerging. So, you know, that's what we're celebrating today in Poetry Month. Now, butterflies and my emerging butterflies, our guest has no idea, per usual, what exactly it is we're going to talk about outside of the poem that we are going over because they picked the poem. So I didn't do this. I did it, but I didn't do it. You know, this is my way of backing out of that a little bit. So with that being said, that's obviously going to make this conversation just a little bit, I hope a lot of uncomfortable, but a little bit uncomfortable. I have to say it nicely so she doesn't get scared, right? A little bit uncomfortable, but still very much vulnerable and transparent in the conversation that we always have here on Vegas Hype Media. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, right? So today our guest, they have worked professionally in their field of behavioral health for over 10 years now. They are a Detroit native, and they are passionate about serving the underprivileged individuals and those impacted by the criminal justice system. It is my pleasure to welcome Angel Lash. Welcome, Ms. Angel Lash.
Hi.
You know, I wish I could tell the audience to, you know, give you a nice warm welcome and help you relax, but that's not the case. So you're here now.
That's right.
And you're on the camera.
Yep.
So
having an uncomfortable conversation.
Right? With none other than me. I help make it a little bit comfortable for you.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome. Just a little bit though.
All right.
Anyway, if you would please just share with the butterflies and the new subscribers and people out there a little bit about yourself, what it is that you do in our community here in Las Vegas.
Okay, I can do that. All right. So, like you mentioned, native from Detroit, Michigan. So that's my hometown. Got to throw that in there. But I've been in Las
Because they
Vegas
didn't catch
since.
it when I threw it.
For
But go
sure.
ahead.
You know, when you're from Detroit, you got to represent. But I've been in Las Vegas, and this has been home since 2008. And since I moved here, I started off just pursuing sports and my college education. And then fast forward through turn of events, I started to look for a different pathway. I was studying fine arts film back then and moved into more of a human service background. And I started to support people suffering from substance abuse disorders after getting my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And so since that time, I just kind of fell in love with the population that maybe some people have a lot of stigma around, a lot of judgment towards. And over the years, I've done direct practice. I've worked with adolescents. I've worked with all age adults, including our seasoned adults, 50 and up. And I'm a big advocate for recovery of all kinds, mental health, substance abuse, financial, all the recovery pathways that you can take. And so I just pretty much am passionate about supporting the community in whatever way I can to help those in need.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great segue into what the poem is that you chose with my help. That you chose, though, because it speaks to all of those things that you just spoke about, I think. So I'm going to have you share your poem with the world. No pressure, though.
Exactly. All of this is pressure. Okay, so the poem Hope by Emily Dickinson. I did not write this.
Yes.
But it's hope. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that it kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it's asked a crumb of me. That's the poem.
That is the poem. You chose the poem.
I did choose the poem.
You chose it.
You want to know how I got this poem?
No, I want you to let me ask the questions. Don't just start throwing information at me so you can, okay, this is what it, no, that's not how this works. We're going to have an even exchange. It's called a conversation.
That's right.
Okay. So Emily wrote thousands of poems, right, that we know about. What was it about this one that spoke to you?
The topic of hope. For me, I mean, hope is like, it's like a magical source. It's, to me, limitless. And if we can instill hope in each other, right, I feel like, first of all, it changed so many things in the world, but that's what I live by, that motto. Mm-hmm. And so selecting this poem and just kind of some guidance from my significant other, my fiance was saying this is one of her favorite poets. We were talking a little bit about poetry and the meaning of things and some of the values that we have. And so through just talking and kind of getting myself more familiar with, different poets, this one came, I guess, fitting to, just who I feel like both she and I embody. And so that's why.
That's awesome. When you say hope and it being like a magical source, like sort of fairy dust.
Yeah.
When did you realize what hope was? Like, when did it, because it's not a tangible thing, right?
Right.
When did it come to you like, I just got to have hope?
That's a good question. Of course, that's a good question.
Right?
Let me see. So, well, so going back to growing up in Detroit, right? Like, I'm not saying I was shot at and that I was in gangs and all that kind of stuff.
But
like,
you needed some hope.
Or that we came from the roughest, but it definitely wasn't the best, right? And so I just remember growing up and seeing a lot of poverty and despair and, some challenges with some of the things going on in my family. And I wanted to be the one in the family that can bring hope, even at a young age. I don't really know where that came from.
Can I have you go back really quick? I hate to cut you off.
No,
I do. When you say some of the things, I want you to kind of paint a picture here when you say there were things going on.
Okay. So I'm the only child at was in my home. I grew up as only child. I do have an older sister that.
In your home, is there a mom and a dad
Yeah,
in
mom
your
and
home?
dad.
Or just a mom? Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Excuse me, I don't do a lot of interviews.
No,
so
that's all right. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So, okay, I grew up in my home with my mom and my dad, biological mom and dad. And I was probably a later thought. My mom was like, I think 31, 30 something. My dad was in his 40s when I was born. I don't think that anybody in our family thought my mom specifically was going to have a child. Here I come. And so so that was awesome. But by my dad being older, and by the time I grew up to know, like have memory of what's happening, he had been retired from working 30 plus years at General Motors. But due to the way you work in the plant and also having some heavy drinking issues, he did have a lot of health issues. So I do remember kind of needing to have hope for the future of, like, my dad is sick. He's in the hospital.
Where'd you find that?
I don't really know. I
like,
think,
what made you think I should have hope? He's sick, but I should have hope.
Maybe just my family was faith-filled, not church, but like my aunt. I remember one of my closest relatives. I remember her being really hopeful through a lot of things that were going on. So she was a single mom working 2-3 jobs, but she never complained. She always believed that God was going to take care of us, right?
So through example, you feel like your mom
I think that might
showed you that she was aspiring to hope.
My mom,
even
and my
though
aunt.
It wasn't a tangible thing.
Yeah.
And you felt like that was something that you needed to continue to do.
Yes, because I was daddy's girl.
Okay.
So seeing him in and out of hospitals was difficult. And through that, I think that is where having that desire, and also being a caregiver, right? Wanted to be there. My mom
At a young age,
and being the only one home. You know, my mom struggled with.
I'm sorry. Did your dad? Is he still with us?
No, he passed away when I was 14 and a half.
Okay. So what's the time age span between in and out of hospital and then him actually?
So
passing?
Probably from age maybe like 7 to 14 and a half.
So that's like 7 years of you going through this and attempting to keep the faith and hope alive.
Yeah.
Right? Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
Yeah. That this shall too overcome.
Right. This too shall pass, and we'll overcome together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why didn't you lose hope when you lost your dad?
You know what? I think about that often because I just knew, being one of the most primary influences in my life, that I just knew I wasn't going to live beyond that. And so I was in sports.
When you say you weren't going to live beyond that?
Because he was sick. He was ill. And I knew that, I hoped that he would live forever. Then I hoped that he would at least live until I was of adult age. That's what was my hope for that he would overcome these illnesses, and he would, and then when he got really sick right before he passed away, I was losing hope because he was really ill. I had never seen, when he came out the hospital this time, it was different.
What did it look like when you started losing hope?
It looked like drowning myself in sports and school. It looked like kind of isolating a little bit, and I'm not a isolator. I probably, going back to that time, I probably kept a lot in, and people could probably see it on my face, but I wouldn't talk about it. And when he passed away, ironically, because my family knew how close I was and how he was getting really ill, so my uncle actually took me to California for the first time. He did a 24-hour turnaround trip type of thing, and that's when he passed away. And so
he passed away when you came back from that trip?
When I was gone.
While you were gone?
While I was gone. And so it was...
Well, I'm sorry. I want you to finish that, but I need to know, what was that like coming home to your dad not being there anymore?
It was like...
Physically and
it was
spiritually.
Almost as if... It was like it was fake. It took me until like, I think it was my sophomore year in college to really accept that it was permanent. So it's almost as if it was like a defense mechanism. So I go away. So I see him. He was sleeping when I left. And I remember being afraid to wake him up because of that. Because he was in so much pain that I wanted him to rest. Finally, he can rest. He had come home from the hospital. He can finally rest. He finally was eating a little bit of food. And then my family knew, maybe, I don't know if they knew this was it, but they just felt like I needed to get a break. So no sports, no this, go away. My uncle was working at airlines and take me somewhere different.
Right.
So I did that, and he kept me really focused on and being in the moment, which was so ironic. Now I'm talking to you about this. How we went. I don't remember which city of California. It was near the water. It was some little rinky-dink hotel, but it was like everybody was.
Wait,
nice.
how did you know it was a rinky-dink hotel at 14? Where you been staying at the Four Seasons?
In comparison to what I've seen today.
Oh, okay. So when you think back about
at the
it
time,
from now,
it was amazing. You know what I'm saying? But looking back, like it was some little.
I thought you were like my niece. That's fancy. She don't do regular, and she stays at 4-5-star hotels and stuff. And I just thought you were fancy.
Not fancy at all. And so, and I remember that night that I didn't talk to my father the night that we arrived because he had just went to sleep again. And he had finally ate a full meal.
So when you say you didn't talk to him when you arrived, you mean when you arrived in
California?
Cali?
Yeah,
like
when I arrived in California, I called home,
he was
checking on him and whatever. I made it, la la la. And but I didn't. But he was asleep already. Mm-hmm. So I just remember being really excited. He ate this full meal, and so because of that, the hope came back again. Okay,
eating. I get hope when I eat too.
Right. He hadn't been eating much. He hadn't been eating much, and now he's, so this is great news. A part of me was like a little bit like, I want to talk to him, but no, I'm not going to wake him up because remember the pain. He wasn't eating. He's eating. Okay. So the next day, we ended up going to the beach. I went to the beach for the first time ever. That was really awesome. We took the public transportation thing. I liked taking the public transportation.
That was your first time?
That was, I hadn't did it too much as a kid. So
you didn't know
probably
no
my third time.
That's all right.
So I was excited about that. And in California, we went to this mall. We just window shopped. And I just remember being in the moment, being somewhere
just
different.
Having a really good time.
And not having to worry.
With that, being a caregiver.
Yes.
Just being a child again.
Being a child again. And as I was doing that, I do remember I checked in with my mom and she said that my dad went back to the hospital. And so now I'm a little bit like, oh no. She was like, but don't you worry because they're going to find out. The doctors promised before he comes home this time, they're going to make sure he's good.
Did he make it back home? No, he died in the hospital.
That's when but I didn't know that yet.
Okay. All of that sounds like a great story, and I would love to continue on a side note with just us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I need to know the nitty gritty of this as far as you, because you are in mental health right now.
Yeah.
Right? And we know how childhood traumas show up later in life.
Right.
And sometimes just unbeknownst to us, things just happen. So I have to question, what kind of, were you ever angry?
Mm-hmm.
Why were you angry?
Well, I was angry and I was at times regretful because I wondered if I had been home, would I got to talk to him, would I got to say goodbye? I was angry but the anger part was later because it seemed like at first he was just gone on a trip, even though he never went anywhere without me. So I come home, all these people in my house, really early in the morning. Why are they here? What's happening? Mm-hmm. And then they tell me. So initially, yes, I cry. I'm emotional. I'm sad.
So they didn't tell you until you actually made it back?
They did not tell me until I made it back. But ironically, I had this dream, speaking at his funeral, on the plane on the way home. So I had this dream, not knowing what's happening, but I did have this dream that I had, and nothing came out. And I remember that. That was very vivid. And then I get home, and I'm not thinking that this is the end, but when I got home and all these people are in the house, I'm like, okay, now I'm thinking he's just really sick. He's on life support, something like that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so they tell me the news, and so I cried, and I went through the emotions I felt like that you're supposed to go through because you hear bad news, but it wasn't permanent. It wasn't like he was really gone. Mm-hmm. He was just on a trip or something. And I waited for a call for a long time. I used to think that I was going to get a call. Probably
Did you run to the phone every time the phone rang? 5 years.
So I waited anticipating a call maybe for the first 6 months. But beyond that, it took 5 years for me to really, process that this was permanent. Right. It was like he was just out of sight, out of mind, even though it was the closest person in my life. And so.
Was your hope keeping that anticipation for that phone call?
I think so.
And when you didn't get the phone call, it never came in 5 years.
Mm-mm.
You still had hope. But did your hope change in some form?
It increased for the people around me. Because I had gone through that, and I thought I wasn't going to, I guess, if you will, live through a loss of such. Because my mom has some struggles with some addictions herself.
Okay.
So my dad's gone. My mom is struggling. I'm young. I can't fend for myself in a sense. I can't pay the bills. I can't go to work. I have sports still. I have school. I have responsibilities. And so
you hope that they would be there, and it didn't happen again.
And so that took a long time for me to reconcile that, okay, well, I can get better. If people not around me going to get better, I'll get better. And that's why I left so far away to come to the West Coast. From Detroit to California was where I first went to school. Because
you left the people that you wanted to, that you were hopeful about getting better.
That I would be the change. That
and
I would be the
them
one.
Is you thought at that moment was going to change. I'm interested in how you process that, because most people, when they have a loss that significant, it's like you want to keep everything close to you as much as possible. You know, like you
I
hold
lost
on.
it all. So after that loss, what
Wait
I guess I didn't say,
we lost just a dad. We still
lost
a
my
mom.
father. My mom was struggling. She was struggling with addiction. She was struggling being there.
Okay.
And
so is there some animosity?
No,
towards,
we are.
Were you just, not now. I mean, but like, were you disappointed in the fact that your mom was doing that?
I didn't want to lose two parents.
Right. But could you understand possibly why she was
took
going
me
through
till
that?
adulthood to understand. But at first, no. You know, I wanted my mom to step up. I wanted her to be the mom I wanted her to be. I knew she loved me. That was one thing, but I knew I couldn't penetrate that relationship she had with the substances. But I didn't like today I can say that, but back then I still knew she loved me, but did you love me more than those things?
Right.
So we lost her house and we lost her car. We ended up moving in with my aunt. Like lots of people in a really small place. I kept playing sports. I kept close to my friends. That was helpful. They helped me stay hopeful. And fast forward, there was a coach pursuing me very far away, and I went away. I figured if I can go away and build me and build something, I can come back one day and I'll be the hope in my family, or they'll see the example I'm setting.
Right.
And that will inspire, people to do the things they need to do. Meaning,
inspire them to do the things that they need to do.
Right, whether that be heal from grief, healing from grief, healing from the things that, there's baggage in everybody's situation.
Did it help you?
Yeah.
It helped you. And now you are here helping other people.
Helping other people, lots of other people.
Through mental health. And you run a program here in Vegas called Lima.
Yeah, I do.
What does Lima stand for? That's an acronym, guys.
Yes, it's an acronym.
Share with us what Lima
stands for. So it stands for Law Enforcement Intervention for Mental Health and Addiction, which is a partnership between two agencies here, that judicial system and law enforcement. And those agencies are probably not the most trustworthy for the people that we get to serve. And a big part.
I wasn't going to say anything.
A big part of that is being able to demonstrate a partnership and engagement with the individuals that we get to serve, that build trust, that instill hope, that show them that they're part of this community and they have community.
How is that possible when, you speak about law enforcement, the state of where we are currently as it relates to law enforcement in people right now being untrustworthy of the judicial system.
Well, I don't want to be the spokesperson on what everybody.
No, you are not
feel,
the spokesperson.
But I will say that
from your perspective,
from my perspective, that I acknowledge, and because of the acknowledgement of it, I feel like myself and the partners I get to work with, we do our best to demonstrate the opposite, to dismantle those ideas in their interactions with us. Because we recognize we represent entities beyond us.
Right.
And we recognize that all things are not absolute. However, if you're willing to give us a chance to support and to help you have hope in your situation, right? The way my family did for me and my friends did for me and my community out here did for me as well,
right?
They are a part of this community too.
They are.
So that is a way that we start the conversation, acknowledging what's already there, the elephant in the room, and demonstrating through
So
our actions.
when you say
that
acknowledging the elephant in the room, I know you work with people that have mental health issues, developmental issues. I know that the focus is on them, but the other side of that is the help that your colleagues, need to understand and be aware of to be able to bridge that gap. Because when you come in at a level this high and you don't even understand how to relate with people that you feel like are down here, and that's how they feel like looking up to these people, how do you bridge that gap? How do you facilitate those conversations amongst your peers?
Similar to having a conversation like right now. I just let them know about the value these individuals have. And I show them excitement when I get a new referral. I show the folks the process that I get to witness while people make change and grow. If there is any stigma that's talked about, then I just address it. If people are, all homeless people are wanting to stay homeless.
Right.
I say, well, some of them do and some of them don't. Have you ever asked them? I really try to demonstrate through my actions. So I stop on the road and I say hello. I work in the downtown area. They're all, they're all types of individuals. But if I see someone, I make sure to acknowledge all the people, and the homeless people too.
I love that you say that you stop.
I do.
To acknowledge the people.
Mm-hmm.
Because too often it's like them over there.
Yeah.
Right. I have a nice government job and my taxes, we provide you your little supplements and have a good day.
Right.
But really stopping and acknowledging and engaging people, because that's what they are, people.
Yes.
We're all people. And whether you're homeless, displaced, whatever the case may be, you should always be seen as a person.
Absolutely.
It's one of the things that I love about you. We have somewhat of a relationship outside of this. We haven't spent a lot of time, but the few times I've had the opportunity to engage with you, it's always been a very level, even-keeled conversation, and we can talk about people without talking about people, if that makes sense.
Yes, I do. It does make sense.
I'm a person. You're a person. We don't have to agree on our perspectives, but we can have a conversation and an understanding.
Absolutely.
About that. So, again, why I brought up your work and why I chose this poem, because I know it's focused and centered around hope and the hope that you have and the way that you demonstrate that in our community.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, you were so nervous.
Yes.
You thought it was going to be horrible.
I did.
She was so scared, y'all.
I was very scared. I mean, I'm still a little nervous, but a lot less. I do want to share just one thing about those interactions with different types of people is, people can look at me and start to pass judgment and stigma and all the things, right? I definitely am grateful that people give me a chance, right? So I'm a female in a suit and tie. And
let me tell y'all, okay? I wish y'all could get a full body of this, because Angel don't play, okay? The suit game is on point. And you got to see the shoes. And she wore that color just for me because she know I love colors. It's not butterflies, so we're gonna give her a pass, but it's as close as she could get.
It's as close as I can. It's
flowers.
So close.
It is. I said it was close, but it's not butterflies. But it's close.
I got you next time.
Yes, next time.
But with that, I walk in a room too, and I wonder. I so much have lessened that. What are people thinking? Are they going to trust me? Are they going to talk to me? I'm working with people, right? I'm working with vulnerable people at that. As much as they probably think that I'm judging them, I used to think they're judging me. I look too young. I look too this. Maybe I'm too inexperienced, whatever the case may be. And I'm really grateful. And that's probably where that hope and that way of viewing working with different types of people come from, because they give me a chance. Yeah. So if people are going to give me a chance, it's only right that I can pay it forward and give them an opportunity as well. Okay.
Well, that is our time. Unfortunately, I was going to go into something else, but is that my time, Quan? Yeah, that is my time. I do want to remind you guys I'm having a party. I'm having a party. So come hang out with me next Thursday, right after that. So you got to watch this first. Then you have to come hang out with me at the Ghost Bar at Palms. It is an NFL draft party, the Black Hole, everybody, former players, current players, you can name it. They're going to be there. The link is actually on my YouTube, my Instagram, UC Salam. Please watch it. Get a ticket. Come to the party. I want to see you guys there. Take pictures with everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for joining us for another Uncomfortable Conversation. My guest, Angel Lash, you are amazing. Love you. Thank you.
Love you,
Quan.
back.
Vegas Hype Media. Till next time. Thank you, butterflies.